Gopichana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopichana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopichana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopichana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vrachachana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrachachana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrachachana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrachachana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayurata Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayurata Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayurata Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayurata Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jai Radha Madhava ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Pariraj Kacharya Sutra Satishamadesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the Assembly devotees, glories to the Assembly devotees, all glories to the Assembly, glories to Shri Guru Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 16, Text 4, and it's prosha, so let's just read the Sanskrit. Shri Rishir Uvacha Navai Maharaja Bhagavato Maya Guna Vibhute Kashta Manasavachasa Vadiguntum Alam Vibhuda Ya Yusapi Purushas Tasmat Pradhan Yenaiva Bhugoloka Vishesham Nama Rupamana Lakshanoto Vyakayashamaha. Rishi Uvacha. Shri Shukadeva Goswami continued to speak. Na, not. Vai, indeed. Maharaja, O great King, Bhagavata, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Maya Guna Vibhute, of transformation of the qualities of material nature. Or actually energy. Kashtam, the end. Manasa, by the mind. Vachasa, by words. Va, either. Adiguntam, to understand fully. Alam, capable. Vibhuda Ayusha, with the duration of life like that of Brahma. Api, even. Purusha, a person. Tasmat, therefore. Pradhanayena, by a general description of the chief places. Evas, certainly. Bhugoloka Vishesham, the particular description of Bhuloka. Namarupa, names and forms. Mana, measurements. Lakshanataha, according to some symptoms. Vyakayasayama, I shall try to explain. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The great Rishi Shukadeva Goswami said, My dear King, there is no limit to the expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's material energy. This material world is a transformation of the material qualities Sattva-guna, Rajaguna and Tamaguna. Yet no one could possibly explain it perfectly, even in a lifetime as long as that of Brahma. No one in the material world is perfect, and an imperfect person could not describe this material universe accurately, even after continued speculation. O King, I shall nevertheless try to explain to you the principal regions such as Bhuloka, with their names, forms, measurements, and various symptoms. Purport. The material world is only 1/4 of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's creation, but it is unlimited and impossible for anyone to know or describe, even with the qualification of a life as long as that of Brahma, who lives for millions and millions of years. Modern scientists and astronomers try to explain the cosmic situation and the vastness of space, and some of them believe that all the glittering stars are different suns. From the Bhagavad Gita, however, we understand that all these stars, nakshatras, are like the moon, in that they reflect the sunshine. They are not independent luminaries. Bhuloka is explained to be that portion of outer space through which the heat and light of the sun extend. Therefore, it is natural to conclude that this universe extends in space as far as we can see and encompasses the glittering stars. Srila Shukadeva Goswami admitted that to give full details of this expansive material universe would be impossible, but nevertheless he wanted to give the king as much knowledge as he had received through the parampara system. English translation, maybe? Wahrscheinlich wäre gut. We should include that if one cannot comprehend the material expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one certainly cannot estimate the expansiveness of the spiritual world. So if we can't understand material world, so what to speak of the spiritual? And then Prabhupada quotes Brahma Samhita 533, confirms this, Advaita Machuta Manadi Mananda Rupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha. The limits of the expansions of Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, cannot be estimated by anyone, even a person as perfect as Brahma, not to speak of tiny scientists, whose senses and instruments are all imperfect, and who cannot give us information of even this one universe. We should therefore be satisfied with the information obtained from Vedic sources, as spoken by authorities like Shukadeva Goswami. End of the purport. Om Jnanatimirandasya Kananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Namo Bistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Svapadantikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. So again the text. The great Rishi Shukadeva Goswami said, my dear king, there is no limit to the expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's material energy. This material world is a transformation of the material qualities, Sattva Guna, Raja Guna, and Tamaguna. Yet no one could possibly explain it perfectly, even in a lifetime as long as that of Brahma. No one in the material world is perfect, and an imperfect person could not describe this material universe accurately, even after continued speculation. O king, I shall nevertheless try to explain to you the principal regions such as Bhuloka with their names, forms, measurements, and various symptoms. Hare Krishna. So of course we are in the 5th canto, and we are about to hear all the detailed description of the cosmos. Very interesting part of the Bhagavatam, but also quite complex. Even Srila Prabhupada would sometimes just have Srila Vishnava Chakravarti Thakur's purport, or just Sanskrit, and then leave it with that, go to the next shloka. No, even Prabhupada would not always, explain every detail, because it's, this is a very specific matter. And even that the shloka today says that actually, even the material creation is so vast that no one can perfectly explain it, even if one has a lifetime of Brahma. And Brahma's lifetime is long. Right? we have the description in the Bhagavatam. I mean, it's beyond our imagination how long Lord Brahma lives. But even if one has such a long life, one will not be able to explain it perfectly. And another point which is made here, that in the material world, anyway, nobody is perfect. So how can an imperfect person perfectly describe the Lord's creation? It's just not possible. But then, Shukadev very humbly says, nevertheless, I try to explain from what I have heard in Parampara from the Vedas. And then that knowledge is perfect. No, because on our own speculation, we might not be able to understand anything. But then, by hearing from the Vedas in the Parampara, we may get some understanding. And then, of course, Prabhupada refers to the fact that the modern scientists, they try to understand, and then they also speculate. And one of their speculation, according to the Bhagavatam, is that the stars are like suns. But here, Bhagavad Gita says that actually these stars are like the moon. So there is a different viewpoint from the modern scientific cosmology and the Vedic Bhagavad Purana cosmology. There's differences here. Basically, modern scientists, they say the stars are distant suns. They generate their own light, whereas the Puranic understanding is that they actually just reflect the light of the sun. They're not just like the moon. It's not that the moon shines from its own of itself, but it's just a reflection of the sunlight. So there is a difference here, and of course, scientists, they would say that each star is actually a sun, a huge ball of gas, mostly hydrogen and helium, undergoing some nuclear fusion. So the stars shine because deep inside of them, atoms are fusing together and turn matter into energy, and that's why the stars, they create their own light, unlike the moon, which only reflects light. That's their understanding. But yeah, Bhagavad Gita does not agree with that and calls the stars similar like moons. So, I mean, I don't have any way to understand or explain who is right or who is wrong. But in our tradition, we generally accept the Vedic version because understanding that human beings are imperfect and we can only guess or speculate about things, even with our so-called scientific methods, whereas the Vedas give perfect knowledge that comes from the Lord. And I guess someone more qualified than myself could go in more to detail in that scientific analysis, but I will leave it with that. And rather, I like to focus on that we are not able to understand the material world, then what to speak of understanding the spiritual world. And Srila Prabhupada quotes the Brahma Samhita 533 in his purports. Advaitam achyutam anadimanantarupam adyam purana purusham navayovanam cham vedesha durlabam adurlama atma bhakto govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. And so here we have the purport. Prabhupada doesn't give the translation, so I will just read. Translation, there is a beautiful purport by His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Very poetic English, so it might be a little difficult with the translation. But that's quite interesting. So here it says, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, but obtainable by pure unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subjected to decay, is without beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha, yet he is a person possessing the beauty of a blooming youth. So that's the text. And there is a purport. I will read part of the purport and I'll try to summarize a little bit and then we need the next part. Because as I said, it's Bhaktisiddhanta's English. Achyuta means that though myriads of avatars emanate from him as subjective portion and millions of jivas as separate spiritual particles, still he remains intact as the undivided whole of fullest perfection. Though he indulges in exhibiting the pastime of birth, etc., still he is without a beginning. Though he disappears after the pastime of his appearance, still he is eternal. Though without origin, yet he is with an origin in his pastime and appearance, and although eternal in essence, he is still a person in the full bloom of youth. The sum and substance of it is that though he possesses diverse and apparently mutually contradictory qualities, still they are in universal harmonious concordance by dint of his unthinkable potency. This is what it is meant by Chit Dharma, transcendental nature, as distinguished from the material. His graceful threefold bending form with flute in hand possesses eternal blooming youth and is above all unwholesomeness that is to be found in limited time and space. In a transcendental realm there is no past and future, but only distinct between the object and its qualities, and no such identity as is found in the limited mundane region. Hence, those qualities that seem to be apparently contradictory in the light of mundane conception, limited by time and space, exist in agreeable and concordance in the spiritual realm. How can a jiva realize such unprecedented existence? Hare Krishna. So, Achyuta means Krishna never falls, never loses, never changes. He can expand into many forms, yet stay complete. And he can appear in time, yet remain eternal. So he seems to take birth, but actually he has no beginning. He seems to leave, although he's eternal. And his beauty is youth and everlasting, and all contradiction in him exists in perfect harmony. And the spiritual world is beyond time, always existing, and we can understand this only through devotional realization, not intellectual effort. That's the essence. And it says even the Vedas, but just by studying the Vedas alone, one will not be able to understand. And that's described in the next part, which hopefully is a little bit simpler. The limited intellectual function of the jivas is always contaminated by the influence of time and space, and is therefore not in a position to shake off his limitlessness. So the jiva is always conditioned to think in time and space, because that's how we experience. This is a space, and there is time. Yesterday I was in Italy, today I'm in Switzerland, and in 2 weeks I will be in Berlin. So we think of time and space. That's just how we are conditioned. But the spiritual world is completely beyond time and space. So we are limited. We can't perceive this. If the potency of cognitive function does not extend to the realization of the transcendental, what else can? In reply, Brahma says that the transcendental absolute is beyond the reach of the Vedas. So even the Vedas can't really give information. The Vedas originate in sound, and sound originates in the mundane ether. So the Vedas cannot present before us a direct view of the transcendental world, Goloka. So even the Vedas itself, because it's words and it's letters, the scriptures itself cannot really give us that information. It's only when the Vedas are imbued with the Chit potency that they are enabled to deal with the transcendental. But Goloka reveals itself to every jiva soul when he is under the influence of the spiritual cognitive potency joined to the essence of ecstatic energy. The ecstatic function of devotion is boundless and is so charged with the unalloyed transcendental knowledge. That knowledge reveals Goloka Tattva in union with devotion, without asserting itself separately, but as a subsidiary to unalloyed devotion. So in other words, Veda or knowledge, intellectual knowledge alone will not help us, but it needs to be imbued with devotion, with bhakti. And then it will be able to understand. So, as we said, Jiva is limited because it always thinks in time and space. And even the Vedas, since they are expressed through material sound, they cannot themselves show us the spirit reality. Of course, we speak of Veda like Shabda Brahman, right? But then that Shabda Brahman, it manifests if it comes through the parampara, if it comes through an authorized, if it's some mundane scholar reads the Vedas. Of course, Sanskrit in the Vedas is very powerful. Some benefit must be there. But the scholar itself will not be able to just realize everything just by intellectual study. So when a soul is touched by the spiritual knowledge, Chit Shakti, divine love, or Ladini Shakti actually, by bhakti, devotion, then the reality of Goloka is revealed from within the heart. That's the point. It's revealed by the mercy. And of course, this means that we need, not only that we said we don't just take knowledge from an imperfect scientist who speculates, but we take knowledge from the Vedas. But we not only take from the Vedas, but we also take it, Vedas coming in the parampara. And then also from a pure devotee. And then we are able to understand something. So Chaitanya Charitamrita describes this. This is from the process of inquiry. Maya mukta jivera nai svata Krishna jnana jivera kripaya kalya Krishna veda purana. The conditioned soul cannot revive his Krishna consciousness by his own effort. So, on our own, we cannot. But out of causeless mercy, Lord Krishna compiled the Vedic literature and it supplements the Puranas. So, on our own, I know we are just in darkness, but then the Lord is very kind and He reveals Vedas, that transcendental knowledge. And through that knowledge we get light, we get understanding. But that knowledge we should receive through the parampara. Krishna speaks through the Vedas and the Puranas, and they are Shabda Brahma, transcendental sound that imparts knowledge on Param Tattva. That's why it says in Gita, Tatvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadenkshati jnanam jnaninas tattva darshina. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Tattva, darshin, they have seen. They have not only that they have speculated about the truth, but they actually have realized. And someone who has realized the truth, he actually can impart truth. So three things are mentioned: paranipata, pariprashnena, and sevaya. And these need to be there in order to properly receive knowledge. So pranipata means that one should first surrender to the Satguru. One should then pariprashna, seva, one should serve, and then one should humbly inquire about tattva gyan. So if one does this, surrender, humility, service, and inquire, then one can receive that knowledge from the spiritual master. So we may have so many doubts, so many misconceptions, but all these doubts can be dispelled if one approaches a tattva darshina, a seer of the truth. And then and he will be able to understand tattva, so that we see things properly. And Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tattvadaha. Someone who knows my appearance, my pastimes in truth, in tattva, he will not take birth again in this world. So, but yeah, we need to understand Krishna in tattva, and that tattva comes from the tattva darshina. So we have to, from the tattva darshi guru, from him we have to hear tattva. So when a guru does kirtan, it is Shabda Brahman. And the shishya, the disciple, should hear it with concentrated attention. Then the mercy of guru will receive By the mercy of Guru, then one receives that Tattva Gyan. But if someone has not Tattva Gyan, his activity will not be perfect. One who receives Tattva Gyan by the mercy of a Guru will understand what is Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. Otherwise, it will not be possible to understand. Therefore, one should hear in the Guru Parampara. So yeah, that's the importance of hearing. And of course, we understand, even if we hear, even if we try to understand Vedas, as we said, we need to have love in order to understand Krishna or develop that bhakti. And as we know, Krishna is only understood by love. And this brings us to Kartik. It's the month of Kartik, which has started. Today, I understood it because actually full moon is today. Here in Zurich, we celebrated yesterday, which is nice. But according to the moon calendar, today is, I don't know. I was happy to already start yesterday. That's good. And of course, there's different ways. Some start Kartik Vrata from Kadashi to Kadashi or from Dwadashi. And usually we start from Purnima to Purnima. And so yeah, the month of Kartik, a very special month, where we celebrate that how Krishna can only be bound by love. And Krishna can only be understood by love. Krishna himself says, Bhakti mam abhijnanati yavan yas chasmi tattvataha tato mam tattvato gyatva vijate tat anantaram. That one can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. So by bhakti, we can understand Krishna, and through no other way. So there is the connection between bhakti, and Bhagavan. No? Basically, there is this three things. There is the Lord, Bhagavan, there is the bhakta, there is the jiva, or the sadhaka, and there is bhakti. And through bhakti, we can understand Bhagavan. So we have forgotten that we have this relationship with Bhagavan, and we are not serving him, and therefore we are serving. Who do we serve? Maya. Yeah, we serve ourselves, our senses, because we are eternally meant to serve Krishna. That's our constitutional position. And if we not serve Krishna, then we serve Maya. One who is not developing bhakti to Bhagavan will definitely serve Maya, because our dharma, our occupational duty as a jiva is to serve. Somehow the jiva will serve. If one does not serve Bhagavan, one will serve Maya. And the result is that we are time and time again coming to the material world. And when we come to the material world, we get suffering because of the place is suffering. To kalayam ashashvatam. So, yeah, sometimes people think, well, I remember when I was before I joined, I lived in a community with some spiritual seekers. And they said, reincarnation, this is actually very nice, In this life I'm a human, next life I'm a bird. I can explore and experience so many things. I don't know what you're speaking, breaking the cycle of birth and death, and life is full of suffering. Life is full of opportunities. I can wander throughout the universe. So there's different understanding of reincarnation. But the fact is that every time we take a body, we suffer. There's so much suffering through the body. The body actually is meant to give us all kind of suffering. Of course, we can also try to enjoy something through the body, but it's very limited. I always remember His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj, who says, take this little finger. You know that. How much pleasure can you give the finger? Okay, nice finger. How much pleasure? Okay, but then how much pain you can experience through the finger? You can squeeze it in a door, you can cut it with a knife, you can burn it with fire, it can be ice cold, frozen. There's so many ways you can experience pain through the small finger, and very limited way you can experience happiness. So this shows the material world is actually it's not a, as Bhakti Siddhanta said, not a place for a gentleman. It's a very miserable place. There's so many dangers, so many ways we suffer, and it's temporary. Even if we find some happiness, the happiness will go. It's temporary, and the soul is actually longing for something else. So anything temporary will give suffering, and will give us pain. But anything eternal will give pleasure. So this world is not eternal, and there is no eternal pleasure here. And of course, because we are turned away from Krishna, we are full of fear, full of bhaya, and this is just the opposite of what we find in the spiritual world. So therefore we must serve Krishna, and we should, because that's our constitutional position. But then we must serve Krishna how? We have to serve him with love. So there must be some love, loving seva. We must serve him with love. And when we serve him with love, then he will accept our service. And when we don't serve with love, Krishna is not so interested in it, actually. No. Do you think Krishna needs our puris, our halva, our gulab jamuns? No, not really. I mean, first of all, Krishna is not hungry. and he, in the spiritual world, he has thousands of Lakshmis who serve him, with all opulence. It's not that he depends on our cooking. But what Krishna is very interested in is the love that we invest. If Krishna sees, that the cook, this, my puchari will offer this burfi with so much love, and the Mataji who has made this burfi with so much love. So then Krishna he's eager. He wants to take that burfi. Because it's done, here it's actually not, it's Adipurusha who makes the burfis, no? Since many years he does the burfi. So Jagannath is very eager to get these burfi because they were made by Adipurusha Prabhu. Because he's doing it with so much love. And then Shikshastakam Prabhu on the altar, he offers with so much love. And then Krishna is very pleased to accept that offering. Right? So bhakti is the basis of love only, and therefore it's called prema bhakti. And if we perform our service, we just do routine service, and we don't invest our heart, then it's doubtful whether Krishna accepts it. Yes, there is, of course, we're trying, and we're doing the rituals, so some benefits there, and Krishna sees our endeavors. But what Krishna wants to see is our love. Therefore, it's very important that we develop this love and try to, give some emotion into our daily service. And of course, therefore, the Brishbasis are glorified. Arhadya Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanyas Tadadhama Vrindavanam. So it's described that if we want to render service to the Lord, we should render service like the Brishbasis, the devotees the object of service is the son of Nanda, Krishna, and we should serve like the Brishbasis. And how do they serve? The damsels of Braj, they render service to Krishna, and we should do it like that, and they serve Nirupadika with their Nirupadika prema. That means everything is sopadika. There is no designations. Like it says, Sarvapadi Vinir Muktam, Tat Paradena Nirmalam, Rishikesha, Sevanam Bhaktir, Uchate. Jai Jagannath Baladev Sudara Shishigone Taiki Jai. It says that when we serve, when we engage our senses in the service of the master of the senses, then there is, but that's also one another definition of bhakti. Bhakti means that we engage our senses in rendering service to Krishna. That's bhakti. And of course, then we do that with love. and then there's two side effects. The senses will become purified, and we will become free from all the upadis. What are the upadis? I'm a king, I'm a president, I'm a brahmachari. We spoke about this, that in the material world we have many upadis, so I'm a PhD, I'm this and that, and we come to Krishna consciousness, we give up everything, become a servant of Krishna, and then after a couple of months or years, we develop new upadis in Krishna consciousness. I'm a senior brahmachari, I'm a head pochari. But that's not devotion. Devotion means sarvapadi vinirmuktam. We give up all these upadis. And we understand I only have one identification, that's it. I'm a servant of the servant of the servant. And I want to serve Krishna, I want to serve the Vaishnavas. And that mood is very essential, it's very important. Because if we don't have that mood, and if we serve with some ego, I'm this and that, and then the service is it's impure, it's not pure service. So that's why with this designation we cannot serve Bhagavan Krishna. We shall develop pride, false ego, but seva should be without pride and selflessness. Selfless, it should be selfless. So we don't need anything otherwise it's not seva. If you take some money and do seva, that is not seva. Seva bhakti is selfless. I don't want anything, I only want to give pleasure to Jagannath. His pleasure is my pleasure. That's real bhakti. One who has such bhakti, what does he see? In regard to Jagannath, he doesn't see Jagannath, he doesn't see big eyes, but he just sees Shyamasundar. When Mahaprabhu came to Puri, he didn't saw Jagannath, he saw Krishna directly. And then it's beautifully described here how Krishna sees himself. Krishna sees himself through the bhakta's heart. A bhakta's heart is just like a mirror, and Krishna sees himself in his bhakta's heart. If you see yourself in a mirror, you think, oh nice, I'm looking very fresh today. Depending, in the early morning, maybe not always. But if you have a fresh, nice tilak, like Kirtan Rasa, Prabhu, it's very nice tilak, then you look in the mirror, look fresh. So similarly, if Krishna wants to see himself, Krishna sees himself in the heart of his bhakta. So Krishna also becomes happy seeing himself in the heart of a bhakta. A bhakta's heart is socha, it's clean, no dirt at all. So Krishna is happy to see his form to the bhakta's heart. Therefore the bhakta always sees Krishna, and Krishna always sees the bhakta. Krishna does not go away from his bhakta, and the bhakta does not go away from Krishna. Yomam pasyati sarvata. No? Someone sees me everywhere and sees that everybody is within me. He is my bhakta. I don't go out of his vision for a moment, and he does not go out of my vision for a moment. So that's the relationship between bhakta and Bhagavan. Such a bhakta binds Krishna in his heart, and a bhakta conquers him. A bhakta binds him. Krishna is unconquerable, but he is conquered, defeated by his bhakta. Krishna becomes bound up by his devotee when the devotee has developed so much love for him. So how to develop that love? And it's interesting here it says, you cannot understand a single word of the Vedas unless you are showered with the mercy of a Gaura Priya Chana, a dear devotee of Gaura Mahaprabhu. Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is Prema Purushottam, he came and he distributed Prema, that love, to everyone, and that love came through the holy name. But we need to receive that holy name by a bhakta, by a Gaura Priya Jana. And only if we get the mercy of such devotee, of such great devotee of Mahaprabhu, then we will be able to actually develop this love. So Prema is our goal, and that's only received through a Premi Bhakta, by his association. And by that love we will be able to bound Krishna, just as Mother Yashoda bound Krishna. And how did she do that? Determination and love, because Krishna did not want to be bound. He thought, I don't want to be bound. I want to play with my Gopas friends, and I want to steal some butter. And it's described by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur that his Icha Shakti, his desiring potency, then manifested the Aishwarya, like the opulence, and then by that powerful opulent Shakti, the rope was always too short. Mother Yashoda could not bind. It was not possible because Krishna didn't want. Krishna had no desire to be bound. But then when Mother Yashoda was with so much love and so much endeavor, tried to bound, at some point Kripa Shakti manifested, and then Krishna's heart was melted. So his own desire to be not bound was overpowered by the endeavor of Yashoda. That's why in the competition between the Bhakta's endeavor and Krishna's own desire, the Bhakta's endeavor is always victorious. Krishna gets melted. Krishna's heart gets melted. And then Krishna is willing to be bound up by the love of his devotee. And that's what we also try to do. I mean, it's quite an ambitious endeavor. But we try to develop love so that we can also more and more attract Krishna's attention to our humble endeavors. And the month of Kartik is a very, very, as we know, very glorious, very special month, the month of Radharani. And every little endeavor will give us great, great benefit. And Shastras speak of many different ways we should observe, because we should take a vrata, Kartik vrata, right? Have you all taken your vrata? Today is the day, at least latest today, we should formulate. We go in front of Radha Damodar and we express what is our vrata. And Shastras speak of different items that we should do. We should get up early, Brahma Muhurta time, we should get up, take a bath, we should worship Damodar, we should worship Tulsi Maharani, we should serve the Vaishnavas. So these are like very essential. Everyone should. And of course, as temple devotees, we are lucky if we any day do that, right? We get up early in the morning, we take shower, we worship the Lord, we do Tulsi Puja. Worshipping Tulsi is extremely powerful, especially in Kartik. But then it says, and then of course some do some fasting. There is devotees, they only take fruits throughout the whole months. Some they only take Ekadashi Prasad. Or some they take grains, but they only eat once a day. Or some they don't eat what they like most. Like I spent more than 10 days in Italy, and I gained about 2.5 kg, 10 days, because they served every day lasagna, pasta, tiramisu, ice cream. Like I was crazy, like every day. But Kartik means those items you like, especially you don't eat. So I will not eat any lasagna and pasta. I had enough. The Kartik months, there will be no lasagna for sure. So yeah, we can reflect on what we like to do. Some devotees, they just skip the sweet. No sweets the whole month. Although it's hard because there is Govardhan Puja with the mountain of sweets. But then of course some devotees, they just chant more. Okay, I chant some extra rounds every day, or I do some more study the scriptures, reading every day a chapter of Bhagavad Gita, or studying Srimad Bhagavatam is extremely auspicious. But then most important is to offer a lamp and sing the Damodar Astaka. Hari Bhakti Vilas describes in the month of Kartik, one should daily worship Lord Damodar and recite Damodar Astakam, a prayer composed by the sage Satyavrata, which greatly pleases Lord Damodar. So that singing that song should be there every day. And then offering a lamp. And sometimes I feel like even here in the temple, some temple devotees, they don't show up for the offering lamp. I don't know, maybe they're busy, seva, or do something else. But that's the minimum, As I said, some devotees, they only eat fruits, they do severe penances in Kartik, go to the Holy Dham and do Mandal Braj, Parikram, and many things. And most of us, we don't do all these vratas, but at least offering a lamp. I mean, How much endeavor does it take to sing the song from beginning to the end and offer a lamb? It doesn't take much. But even that we don't do. Many of us don't do. So let us take this vow to at least offer a lamb and sing the song. And that will be very pleasing. There's a great benefit in that. And of course, if you can do more, the better. Try to do something extra. But so I will end with some shlokas from the Skanda Purana and other Puranas that describe the glories of offering one lamb in the month of Kartik. Even if there is no mantra, no pious activities, no purity, everything becomes perfect when one offers a lamb in the month of Kartik. Whoever offers a lamb in the month of Kartik is freed from sins accumulated over thousands and millions of births in half of a moment. O Narada, there is no sin in 3 worlds that cannot be purified by offering a lamb to Lord Keshava in the month of Kartik. Even a person who is addicted to all kinds of sins and averse to all good deeds becomes purified if he somehow offers a lamb in the month of Kartik. By offering a lamb in a month of Kartik, one burns away a mountain of sins as great as Mount Meru. There is no doubt. And we will hear about Mount Meru in the pages of the 5th canto. We will hear how big he is. So a pile of sin, of great as Mount Meru, still it can be burned easily by just offering a lamp in a month of Kartik to Damodar. A person who offers a lamp in a month of Kartik attains the result that cannot be achieved even by performing 100 sacrifices or undertaking 100 pilgrimages. Please hear the glories of offering a lamp, which pleases Lord Keshava. O King of the Brahmanas, a person who offers a lamp in this way is not to be born again in this material world. A person who offers a lamp to Lord Krishna in the month of Kartik attains the eternal spiritual world where there is no suffering. Om Tat Sat. Kartik Vrata Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Any reflections, comments, questions? Yes.
I have a few questions, but at least on this one last note, can you offer the lamp in someone else's name and they can also get the benefit?
Yes, it's described, there is 3 ways. Best is to offer a lamp yourself. If you cannot do that for some reason, then you can ask someone else to offer for you. So you can offer a lamp in the name of someone else, and then that person gets the same benefit. And it's also said if one protects a flame, that is also a great benefit. Some devotees, they burn a lamp and they make sure that for the whole of the month it doesn't goes out, like an oil lamp or so. Yeah, but to your question, yes, you can.
They don't ask us, like we really pray for someone else.
Yeah, can also be done, certainly. It's a great benefit. Yeah. Yes?
I don't want to oppose your opinion or something, but I think a few days before someone was telling in the lecture that it's kind of karma kanda, like if we offer lamps for several people and like then they have benefits in that sense.
I think it's a question. I only repeat what I heard. I just heard lectures on Kartik, and it was, it's certainly mentioned in Shastra that one can offer lamps in the name of others. It's bona fide from a Shastric point of view. Whether it's karma kanda or it's devotion, I think it depends on your motivation, on your intention. If you are with a fruitive mentality, trying to achieve something, then it's karma kanda. But if you do it in devotion and in order to please the Lord and in a prayerful mood, want to help a person to develop devotion to Krishna. Of course, if may I pass my exam, or may my father becomes cured from the disease, and if you ask for some result and benefit, it's different. Of course, offering this lamp, it's purely devotional activity. We just want to please Krishna. Even all these statements about being relieved from sins by offering a lamp, of course, these are the Shastras, and it's not that it's exaggerated, it's true, But from a pure devotional point of view, we are not interested in that. We just want to please Krishna. That's the main thing. Nevertheless, bhakti is glorified in this way to show the power of bhakti. Yeah. So that we have faith, we don't need something else, we don't need something extra. Just by dedicating ourselves to the path of bhakti, we get everything we need. That's what I would argue about that point.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
Prabhu, I wanted to hear from you about when the sound is imbued by chit potency. And I was thinking if we can reflect on Srimad Bhagavatam itself and by mere reading the scripture, because I think it's quite interesting that in this verse Shukadeva Goswami is saying that, as you pointed out humbly, that he will try to explain it.
Yeah.
In that sense, hearing from him actually, but it is imbued by chit potency.
Yeah.
I have faith, but if you can speak more.
Yeah, it's a very interesting point, and it's interesting. The Prabhupada referred only briefly in the purport about Brahma Samhita. When I read the purport by Bhaktisiddhanta, this was more unpacked. Yes, that's why it's so important. That's why the parampara is so important. No, we have the whole Ritvik discussion going on at the moment. Parampara is important. A living sadhu is important. We need to hear from living personality. And we find it even in Prabhupada's teaching itself. It's clearly stated. Prabhupada says that you can't just study medicine and then think you become a doctor. You need to go to the university and you have to hear from the professor and then study under the guidance of the professor. Only then, and then you go to 3 exam and you can get a medical training and title. So similarly, even Shastra is there. We need. There is Granta Bhagavat and Bhakta Bhagavat. Right? There's two kind of Bhagavats. There is the Granta, the book Bhagavat, and there is the Bhakta Bhagavat. And we need to understand the Granta Bhagavat through the Bhakta Bhagavat. That means we need to hear the book through the person who lives according to the book, who has realized that knowledge. And from him we have to hear from the Shastra. And in the combination of that then the true meaning of Shastra can be revealed. And otherwise, not. No. And of course, Swadhyaya, personal study is very important. That's also part of our sadhana. But we always need to remember that the hearing process is where actually the mercy flows. Of course, Shastra is in a way non-different from the Lord, and Shastra also has the potency. There's many also stories and histories where Shastra itself may also shower mercy, but it's rather unusual or rather an exception. The general path is through the person Bhagavat. I don't want to limit Shastra, and even the sound vibration, because some argue, well, we can just listen to Prabhupada's lectures, and there's this controversy: is it enough to just listen to Prabhupada lectures, or do we need actually Shabda Brahman from a living devotee? And in principle, I would argue that we need Shabda Brahman, living devotee. That's because that's what Prabhupada himself says, as I just quoted the example with the professor at the university, right? But again, Prabhupada is still alive, still with us, still present, and Prabhupada is also very powerful. There is this one story which is quite amazing. There was a devotee parked his car somewhere on the beach or somewhere, and there was a thief breaking into the car. And then when he broke into the car and wanted to turn on the engine or so, then the radio came up with a tape, and then Prabhupada was speaking, you're a thief. Like something like in the material world, everyone is a thief, like the person become completely like, oh my God. And then he kind of run away or something, or I don't know, even became a devotee or something. I don't know the story exactly, I can't remember, but So that shows that, like Prabhupada is, Prabhupada's lecture are very powerful, and even today people become devotees by just hearing Prabhupada's, sound through tape recorder. So I don't want to minimize. It's very powerful. And also Prabhupada gave Gayatri mantra on tapes, sometimes to devotees. Nevertheless, I would also again say this is exceptional, but the usual path is through hearing directly from living sadhus, because Shabda Brahman comes through the mouth from a pure devotee, and also and again Prabhupada itself describes in the purport of Bhagavatam very beautifully how Shabda Brahman comes from the mouth, from the lips of the pure devotee, then enters into the ears, then from the ear enters into the heart, and then in the heart that bhakti is like a flame of fire that ignites the bhakti in the heart of that devotee is awakened. So that it's that process of hearing and Shravanam Kirtanam is so important. Okay. All right, I think then we will stop here. Grantat Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Kartik Masa Kartik Vrata Ki Jai, Srila Damodar Ki Jai, Hare Krishna. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpadrupascha, Kripasinabhyo, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namo. Hare Krishna. But a whole lot of Kartik. Well, yeah, almost. Wow, that's fantastic. You're doing something right. So Kartik in temple, that's good. Okay, well, nice.
I wanted to ask you also, what is that book that you read, the last one?
That's Krishna is a Krishnaprema. This is from
Ich kann wieder fragen, ob du das kannst senden von dem.
Aber das kann ich sagen, ja. Ich habe schon vor diesem Zeit noch gelesen. And he kind of continued to receive Krishna Prabhu.
So we don't know the entry of that.
The lamp offering.
Yes.
Ja, kann ich posten.
Ich habe noch ein paar andere Fragen, aber du hast wahrscheinlich nicht.
Hä?
Ich habe noch ein paar andere Fragen, aber
Aha,
du hast
also
wahrscheinlich nicht. Okay.
Ich will Putsch jetzt machen.
Krishna, ich wollte fragen, ob ich einen Dienst leisten kann hier.
Aha.
Prashada.
Ja, schon noch akzeptieren, ich war der Erste. Und dann kann man es schauen.
Ja, auf jeden Fall. Also kannst etwa um 8:45 oder bis 9 so, tragen wir das Frühstück hoch und dann kannst du erst mal frühstücken und dann können wir gerne schauen, was du machen kannst.
Okay.
Wie ist dein Name?
Julia.
Julia. Du bist auch auf Besuch?
Ja.
Ja, okay, schön. Hare Krishna.
jetzt sollten Sie dann bald das Frühstück hochtragen. Jetzt sollten Sie bald das Frühstück hochtragen, dann kannst du auch helfen. Aber ich brauche noch